All right, we are live and in the building. Shouts out to all the people that are in here already. Definitely appreciate you guys being here. A lot of comments right now. Frank is in here saying "Go Cowboys." Yeah, I don't even. Uh, Frank, you're banned. You're perma banned. Don't come back. You are not welcome here. Okay, you're not. Sorry, guys. I was just literally recording a video on that clavicular dude. I think that's his name. Not, I think that's his name. His name is clavicular, but man, does he give some wild PE advice. I'll just say that. I hope everybody is having a good, I'll just say, holiday season. I am just recovering from either norovirus or severe food poisoning. And so I have been down and out for the past 2 days, felt like absolute dog crap. And it has not been, it has not been awesome. So today is the first day that I actually feel like I could get up and actually do something. So hence the live, and we normally have a Saturday live sometime around now. So yeah, so it's good to be back. It's good to be upright. It's good to not be scared of flatulating because you don't know what's gonna come out. But man, uh oh man, I was hurting, guys. I was hurting. Uh I probably slept for about a legitimate probably 15 hours yesterday, man. Oh gosh. So anyways, man, let's get right into the question because I'm gonna go ahead and say this even though it's so stupid. I'm hoping this is gonna be a short one, derp a derp. So yeah, man. Uh let's see. Enrique says, "Good morning, family Christmas today. Enjoy it, bro." My guy Caleb says, "Hink, what are your thoughts on sauna in terms of health, and do you think it could have a potential role in PE?" So, I mean, I'll be honest, guys. I haven't done a deep dive into actual the data on a sauna that much. Now, I do think that there's the potential role in the sense that I do think that there is a role for heat, and so I do think that without a doubt you're going to be able to stretch more in something like a sauna, for example, um, that has that heat in there. However, when you are doing things, especially like pumping or even potentially using a vacuum cap, um, you're going to increase the risk of blisters. And so using heat, any source of heat can increase the risk of blister formation just because of the nature of how it works and the interstitial fluid underneath it. Even though something I looked at recently said interstitial fluid is an outdated term, and I guess that just shows how old I am that I don't even know what the relevant medical terms are. But I do think now, this is purely hypothesis, okay? But I do think if you were to basically do warm up in a sauna and then like do, let's say, half of your manual stretching, half of your extender routine, half of whatever you normally do for length work in the sauna, and then go out and then continue the second half, I think that that would potentially lead to more gains. And same thing about pumping. Maybe doing like half of the routine pumping in the sauna and maybe half out. But yeah, it's an interesting theoretical thing. So let's see. So yeah, now that being said, I have actually seen like as far as in general saunas, there's some data that says it promotes growth hormone. Could it on a not molecular level, but on blood work, could you potentially see a slight increase in GH, growth hormone, by, by taking by being in a sauna? Yes. Do I think it's a meaningful increase in growth hormone? No. Even if it did triple your growth hormone, do I think that that would make a difference when it comes to PE? Nope. I don't, personally. So, and there's no real data that I've seen to suggest that it does help with that. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna adjust this light. There we go. So it's not quite shining on me as hard. So yeah. So JR says, I think sauna goes. It's probably more about recovery and relaxation. Yeah, bro. I mean, I think that that's is largely like that for the most part. I think you could get similar benefits just by taking a warm shower before doing PE or using a washcloth before doing PE, a warm washcloth that is, or even doing some like light water pumping. Let's see. Termy Cobra says, Mink, have any content on vitamin K2 MK7 and the research that says it helps vascular health for those that with issues? Nattokinase, it's difficult to get through diet alone. I don't. I don't. That is the first that I have heard about that. And you guys know that I don't like talking about things that I don't understand unless I have a good understanding of them or experience with them. So no, I don't know about that study, man. And so my guy in Andres says, "Does your course teach anything about girth enhancement?" Yes. I talk relatively briefly about clamping. So if you are trying to learn how to clamp and all the specifics around it, my course is probably not the best thing for you. But I go in detail ad nauseum to the point of, I mean, it's concise, but about air pumping and actually using a water pump. I talk about both techniques in my course if you're interested. So I appreciate your interest. And my guy, Bebsy says, "Merry Christmas, yada yada." Merry Christmas, my guy. And so, King Honk, that's a new one. I like that. I like that, man. Is it rare to someone develop fibrosis from PE to the point that it causes a true venous leak? If so, to cause it, is this fibrotic plaque regional, noticeable on physical exam? Is it reversible? Um, so fibrosis in general is a more of what we call a chronic process, okay? You're not gonna basically do something wrong with a pump one day and then wake up and you have fibrosis the next day. Fibrosis typically occurs when you have chronic things like erectile dysfunction that are lasting for several months. You're not getting erections anymore. You can sometimes see it in guys and men as they age when their testosterone levels start to drop and they no longer get things like nocturnal erections. And so, um, is it rare for somebody to develop fibrosis from PE? Yes, for the most part. Now, there is a caveat, an exception to this in the sense that you can absolutely get Peyronie's disease from doing enlargement exercises. Peyronie's disease is essentially, now, guys, I mean, you can quibble with me in the comments, it's fine, but it is essentially a fibrotic process, meaning an excessive scar tissue process going on. And so, but I would say that that's different than traditional fibrosis. And so, and yes, if you were to develop that, certainly there is a plaque or region, something that's noticeable. Sometimes guys will get hourglassing, and it would be noticeable on physical exam. Is it reversible? There are definitely things you can do for Peyronie's disease. Absolutely. When it comes to true fibrosis, that means that essentially the functioning tissue has converted into scar tissue, and that is going to be a very hard thing to reverse. But I really feel like people don't truly understand the process um, of fibrosis, and it gets overused in the sense that I just think that unless you're an older guy, you had some sort of like prostate surgery, pelvic floor trauma, you're not going to be at risk of fibrosis. There we go. Sorry. So let's see here. Uh, so my guy YS3N says, "Hey Hink, how would I know if I'm using too much time or tension when extending?" So, I think it would be based on erection quality. So, more obvious things are pain, discomfort, dull ache at the base of your penis. So anything like that. But also, of course, the main thing I would be say is if you notice a decrease in erection quality or even potentially a decrease in sensitivity. Those are all things that say that you are doing too much. Duh, duh, duh. So my guy Ballo says, opinion or erect Kegels. Don't do it. Um, yeah, the end. Don't do it. Oh, with a small towel or penis to enhance erection strength and quality along with erection angle. My erection angle is kind of low, even on Cialis, and it's quite mobile. So we're talking about two separate things. So when we're talking about erection quality, we're talking about how your blood fills up your penis. It has nothing to do with how at what angle it hangs necessarily. Now, if you have a very tight suspensory ligament, then yes, you are going to hang at more of a higher angle than if you have a lower suspensory ligament. But the way your penis fills up with blood with your erection is not contingent upon your actually erection angle. And so if you have a lower erection angle and it's mobile, that sounds like you have a fairly loose suspensory ligament. And in that if that's the case, then doing erect Kegels is not going to help that at all. The issue is your suspensory ligament. The issue is not your pelvic floor muscles. The reason why I won't say that I hate Kegels, but just they get overdone and there's really bad advice. There's some dumbass PE routines that I've seen that are like, okay, then you do sets of Kegels. Oh, sets of Kegels in the pump, derp a derp. You shouldn't do that. Most guys are doing enough Kegling just by living their life. Kegels are important if you're an older man and you have a weak pelvic floor. I would say 98% of guys have either a strong pelvic floor or you know, a hyperactive and overactive pelvic floor. Hypertonic is what they call it. And so it's fine if you want to do the Kegel with a weighted towel. It's fine if you want to do that. All I would ask is that you have a pelvic floor stretching regimen in there as well, because it's fine to have a strong pelvic floor. You just want to make sure it's still a flexible pelvic floor. Otherwise, you're going to be in a situation where you have where you have a hypertonic pelvic floor and you start to develop things like premature ejaculation. Um, yeah, and even, hard flaccid, actually, believe it or not. So yeah, man. We have hopefully that answers your questions, but yeah, please don't do Kegels, man. At least if you're gonna do Kegels, make sure you balance it out by stretching your pelvic floor, man. We got some super chats coming in. Oh my god, Doc72 says, "Merry Christmas, Acorn Gang. Hope everybody is doing well at work, so we'll catch up later. Peace and love." I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for showing, showing some Christmas love, man. It has been, let's just say I'm just ready for 2026. I don't know, at this point, shit, I'm ready for 2027. I try to live in the present, man, and oh my gosh, you guys have no idea how hard it is being me. My name is Hink. My life is so hard. I feel like that's me every live stream, man, when there's people actually dealing with real shit out there. But like I said, who feels it knows it, man. So anyways, uh, just be careful who you trust, guys. Just be careful who you trust. Um, my guy Timmy says, "Hope you had a good Christmas, Hink. Also, blessings for the next year." Thank you, Timmy, man. That's extremely generous of you. Thanks for your work. Do you celebrate New Year's Eve? God bless. I've never really been a big New Year's fan. Um, in fact, I've kind of been not necessarily anti New Year's, but I don't think you should have to wait until a specific, oh, it's New Year's. This now I'm going to start making a resolution to do better. I think that if you notice something that needs to be addressed, you need to just change it and you need to address it right then and there. You don't need a New Year's Day to do it. And I've never been a party guy. I don't drink, and so the thought of basically like being around a bunch of people getting drunk, that just doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. I don't like alcohol. I don't like being around people consuming alcohol. That's just my thing. I'm a what do they call a teetotaler? I don't know, but toter. What do they call it? But I've always been anti-alcohol. I've been anti-substance. I just don't think you should need a substance to have fun, whatever that substance may be. That's my personal thoughts. Who cares what I think about anything? I'm a clown in a mask and a hoodie. So, but I appreciate that, man. But I do like to be around my family, and I do like to. I mean, to be quite honest, guys, too, I fall asleep. I'm usually asleep by about 9:30 every day, and so I don't. It's hard for me to even stay up to midnight, and so yeah. So, my guy, HFUV says, "Hey, do you ever get concerned that somebody in the audience may be stretching themselves while watching you, maybe even oiling themselves up to intense deep focus?" Merry Christmas. Also love you, dude. I love you too, bro. That's hilarious. I don't. Sometimes people will be like, "Yo, Hink, I'm stretching while watching you. Hink, I'm pumping while watching you," and I really don't know if they're lying or not because it's funny either way. But no, I mean that doesn't really bother me. But no, I'm not concerned about that. As long as there's no visual or there's no proof, that would be so funny if somebody sent like a picture and it's like the screen of me in the background. He's like all pumped up to it. to each their own. My guy Caleb says, "Do you think?" Oh, look at the Caleb. I swear, if you talk about how I'm ignoring you again, this chat, I'm gonna reach through the screen and I'm gonna slap you, bro. Metaphorically speaking, because I know how you. He's ignoring me today. Yeah, I just did the voice for you, Caleb. It says, "Hink, do you ever think you would create your own water pump with the pressure gauge?" I have very peripherally looked into this. Now, the problem with creating a water pump with a gauge is that if you have I don't know why this is the case specifically with water pumps, but if you have a water pump with a gauge, you have to have a way to reliably calibrate it. And that's a government guideline. And so there's a big it's not just as simple as throwing a pump on there. I mean, throwing a gauge on there. Uh, so it's more complicated and there's more regulations the way I understand it. I actually talked to Caitlin V about this. And because she reached out to somebody that she partners with, PumpWise, that's a water pump company, and asked them why they don't have a gauge, and that's what they told her. So I'm repeating things third hand, but yeah, I initially actually had even talked with Perv McSwerve about like looking into that. But I think from a regulation standpoint, it is not it is not sorry. You guys know I have the attention of a squirrel and severe ADD, and my wife just texted me about something. Uh So, hey, my God, Dinklage Morgan is in the house. Hey, Big Cat Mac with the extremely generous super chat. Thank you, bro. He said, "Happy holidays, man. I know you made a video on Petechiae already. I get it regularly after pump. Got a blood test, nothing unusual. Can I ignore them? Thanks, man. Glad you're feeling better. I appreciate that very much, man. So, Petechiae is one of those things that I do think that some people are just very sensitive to it, and unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about it. I was actually talking to a client. I don't know. I feel weird saying client, but guys, I do coaching. If you want to be coached one on one through me for either injury coaching or enlargement coaching, patreon.com/docking. The link is in the description. But I was talking to him, and even at low pressures, I think he was saying even at pressures as low as 5 to 7 inches of mercury, he still gets petechia. And, but it goes away within 24 hours. And so, we had to talk about it. In my opinion, I mean, petechia, it does concern me just because it typically means that your tissue is not accustomed to that pressure yet. I think for 90% of people, if you start at a low enough pressure and gradually build up, you are not going to have petechia. Shouts out to my guy Rico that says sober gang, gang, gang. Um, but and so but there's some people that even though they start at low pressures and build up, that they don't get petechia. Now, in my personal experience, like if I take a break off because I'm busy doing this, or if I take a break because I am reversing discoloration or something like that, and then I get back to pumping, I have to drop my pressure in half, or I immediately get red dots. Okay, and so, but basically every 3 to 4 days, I increase the pressure by about 1 inch of mercury until I get to where I wanna be, which right now, guys, and now you have to understand that I'm not necessarily going for additional gains right now. It's more so maintenance and EQ. And so right now, I personally am pumping right around 8. Right around 8 is all I'm going to. 8 inches of mercury, which is 40. Is that 40? No, gosh. 8 is 27. Yeah, 8 is 27 kPa. So yeah, right around 200 millimeters of mercury, if I'm not mistaken, too. But fact check me on that. So yeah, man, I think that as long as it's going away, the other thing you need to keep in mind is that petechia is going to increase your risk of discoloration because it's literally petechia, blood vessels rupture, deposit blood into the skin. The blood actually goes through the process where it turns into iron or hemosiderin and causes that discoloration. However, guys, I do need to make my discoloration video because I'm not trying to hype it too much, but I didn't realize how much the discoloration bothered me until I got rid of it. And even though it's about 90% gone. It's about 90% gone. And it is amazing to look down and be like, and see I'm just going to be humble, a fairly large hog, but to have that discoloration gone, I no longer have that dark black strip around my D. It's awesome. It is awesome. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that, man, because my journey getting there was a long one. So, the point is that, yes, I think that as long as you're not having pain, changes in erection quality, changes in sensitivity, if you just get some mild petechia, it's not a big deal. Guys, we just hit 101 people in the sub, or at least I just noticed. And so, if you don't mind, take a second to hit the thumbs up button. Also, guys, all of these live streams, I put them at the lowest possible ad revenue possible. Okay, if you appreciate that, then also please consider living me a like. And guys, I'm really trying to get to 67,000 subs. Is it 67? Yeah, 67,000 subscribers by the new year. So if by some chance you are watching this and you are not a subscriber, please consider subscribing, helping your boy out with kind of my last goal of 2025. Um, thank you for that. Caleb says, "I like to get drunk on, Martinelli sparkling apple cider." Bro, Martinelli, that apple cider is fire. I don't know if you guys have Trader Joe's where you are, but Trader Joe's, apple cider, and just sparkling juices are also pure fire. So my guy Frank with the laughing emojis, I don't know which one of my mods keeps unblocking Frank, but I'm tired of it, okay? I'm tired of it. Um my guy Hemorrhoid says, "Dead ass, I pump, half the time Hink is live because it's the easiest daily motivation for it." Oh, man, well, hey, if I'm motivating people, that is great, man. That is great, man. Anthony Hink likes to say my name. That's Frank again. Oh, man, somebody ban him. Hey, my guy Red is in the house too. So let's go with my guy, my guy Red Maroon probably doesn't even realize this Drake quote, but he says, "Well, what did I miss?" I'm gonna assume that he's quoting Drake there because he loves Drake. Um, yes, man, that has been the theme song for freaking 2025, man. But hey, such is life, man. Such is life. So my guy, hey Hink, big question from Jay Carbone or Jay Carbon. Big question about 60 versus 90 minutes hanging. Is it true that the difference between these amounts in time results in negligible differences? Regards. So thanks for the question, man. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for being here. And thank you for all the guys that just hit the like button. It does mean a lot. If you look purely now, you have to understand, guys, one of the things I try to be as science and data based as possible, okay? And so, but that being said, there is a very limited amount of data that we have when it comes to actually PE. My guy Termy says, "Oh, you can call me Darth Hemosiderin at this point." um, but, when you look at the studies that they, in particular, have done with Peyronie's disease, guys, so automatically, we're not talking about normal healthy guys with healthy Ds, we're talking about a different subset population. However, when you look at that population, there was 2 papers published that actually clearly showed that more is more. And so I have a video on it. It's ultimate, um how long should you be doing PE or, I don't know, set time. I forgot exactly what the title is. But I literally break down that data. Now you have to understand there was a significant improvement, but we're not talking about a crazy improvement. And so let's just say if you were doing 60 minutes a day. Now I'm pulling this out of my rear end right now, guys, because I don't have that data directly in front of me. Um, but if you are doing a 60 minutes, versus 90 minutes. Let's say in 60 minutes, if you do that every day for 6 months, in length, let's say maybe you would get let's for ease of my mental status, let's just say an inch, okay? You're doing 60 minutes a day hanging, you get an inch in 6 months. Okay. If you were to do 90 minutes a day, I think you'd get more like 1.1 inches. Okay. Where it is significant, it is measurable, but is it worth it? And that's what I can't really describe to you. And the other important thing is the more that you're doing, the higher the risk of things like erection quality decrease is. Uh, so you have to also keep that in mind as well, because the longer you do it, you do risk more. I mean, that's more trauma to your D potentially. So you got to keep that in mind. So, um, ooh, sorry guys, I'm tired. Oh man. Uh, so my Caleb said, "At Intimacy Nutrition Doc, did Mink inspect your prostate?" Bro, what? Oh, I see his comment now. My guy Intimacy Nutrition Doc says, "Mink, did I pass inspection?" Oh, yeah, bro, for sure, for sure. We just gotta set up a time to talk. And I've once again, I have been meaning to do it, but then the holidays and then getting sick really set me back, big time. Um so yeah, my guy Jadink says, subscribe Hinks videos, bang. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. But yeah, definitely help me subscribe. I mean, help me out by subscribing. um, let's see. JR says, I'm a fairly light guy, so the staining kind of scares me. I'm probably a couple months away from my final goal, so I'll make it without discoloration. Yeah. So everybody is different, man. I have had people, and I personally, I don't think it's related to like your skin tone or your complexion. I have seen people that are very, very pale and they hardly get any discoloration whatsoever or get no discoloration. And so that definitely surprised me quite a bit. Where, I mean, obviously, guys, the darker your D is, the less visible hemosiderin staining is going to be. Okay. So, I mean, like, duh. But I don't think it really depends on complexion. I just really think it depends on ultimately your penile resistance to internal pressure and for kind of blood leaking out. So your set times, all that kind of thing. So let's see. Elite Kir- Kiroto Kan says, Hink, I have an extender doing 7 pounds, and after 3 hours, I have pain on the sides. Is that normal? Hink, I have an extender doing 7 pounds, and after 3 hours, I have pain on the sides. Is that normal? So I am never going to say pain is normal. Okay. I am never going to say pain is normal. And so 3 hours is a long effing time to be wearing an extender. And so, no, I don't think that is normal. I think that that's a sign that you're either using too much tension or doing it for way too long. It's a 7 pounds. I mean, that's not like the craziest amount of tension that I've ever seen, but that's also definitely not a low amount of tension. And so, oh, sorry guys, I'm still recovering. I would either decrease your tension or decrease your time, or potentially both. But no, pain is never normal, in my opinion. Hank, when are you dropping the discoloration video? Realistically, I haven't even recorded it yet. I haven't partially done the script. We're probably looking at 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe. So, my guy Sleep Driver says, I'm focusing on extending. Today's goal is 16 hours with some pauses. I'm at 14 already. Goodness gracious. Are you serious, bro? 16 hours? That is wild. And the viscoelastic creep through an electric heater, okay, and anti-locks through zinc and NaC, but my EQ dropped. Um, I mean, I'm not trying to intentionally be a prick here. I just come by it naturally, but yeah, your EQ is going to drop if you have your D in a vice device for 16 hours, bro. That is man, that just seems like way, way, way way too much. Man. I don't know why. I mean, if you're well, I guess one could argue an all day stretcher, but that's typically lower tension. But man, even 16 hours, bro, that's just too much in my opinion. And so I think your EQ dropped because you're definitely overworking the tissue. Said, oh, my guy Frank Mata is a brown Mexican. I had no idea either, Caleb. Not that I mean, how can you? That's it's wild how we kind of associate. I mean, like how I would possibly assume Frank's race. To be honest, though, I don't know. I don't know anybody of Latino heritage named Frank. So, so maybe that's just the username that he has on here. Mata, I can see maybe some Latin American influence there. But anyways, man. Well, that changes everything, Frank. That changes everything now that I so my guy, Crimson Vet, thank you very much for the super chat, bro. That's very, very generous. He says, can you make a video debunking or the pros and cons of additives being pushed in these compounded male-focused meds, apomorphine, paroxetine, sertraline, and so on. Um, that's interesting. What kind of male-focused meds are you talking about, man? Because you're talking about, I believe paroxetine, sertraline, or SSRIs, or at the very least, I know they're antidepressants. Sorry, guys, I don't. Even when I cosplay as a doctor in the hospital, I don't prescribe those medicines. Certainly not apomorphine as well. Uh, but I don't know which companies are pushing that now. There are, I think, in general. Now, hot take, guys, please don't come after me, just because this is just my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. You all are entitled to yours. But I really feel like anxiety, depression, um, and even sometimes things like being on the spectrum or non-neurotypical. I think that there's this big push for everybody to have depression and anxiety, and there's this big push for these medications, and I think they get overused. And I really feel like a lot of these medications do more harm than good. Now, that's my opinion, guys, and I have not done a deep dive into it, and that could be the most ignorant thing ever said. But I also know that I have a lot of clients on my Patreon that come to me because their EQ is rocked and they're no longer able to get erections, or they have what we call anorgasmia, where they're no longer able to get over the top. And I'm going through their meds, and it's either, guess what, guys, finasteride. Okay, for all you finasteride deniers out there, or it is because they're on SSRIs or antidepressant medications. And so, but I think I don't know this to be true, but I'm guessing based on this comment that there are these companies saying, like, basically, you need this in order to be a better man because you probably have depression or something like that. So I don't know, man. Uh, so yeah, man. I actually don't know about this, but uh, I can make a video, and I've talked about some of those medications before on other videos that where I talk about things that can ruin your erection quality. Now, guys, if you need it, you having clinical depression, you can't focus, you can't basically live your life, or certainly if you're considering that's a new one, considering self deletion. Like, yes, you absolutely need to be on these medications. I'm not saying there's not a role for it, but I also just feel like we're at a day and age, just like when any guy can be like, I'm 20 years old and I don't feel quite like myself and my libido's not where it needs to be. I need to be on TRT. And the doctor said, "Yep, I agree. Here's TRT." I think that gets over prescribed. And I think all of these medications just get over prescribed. And we need to look more at the deeper dive. But yeah, man, I will if you can send me some of these compounds that you are talking about, that would help me get a better idea to make a video on that. So thank you, man. And my guy Steven says, "Man, come on, WTF, reading 3 comments in a row just to skip mine." Sorry, sorry, bro. Let me see if I can find his, Steven Steven Steven. I don't Bro, your comment is not showing up on my screen. I don't see it, and so I don't know whether it got instantly redacted because you said something maybe spicy, but I am not seeing your comment at all, bro, and I've scrolled up high on the screen. So maybe type it again, and if you are oh man, Red just texted me, which hopefully doesn't mean I said something stupid. Let's see. He posted again below. Uh Yeah, it says okay, it says Steven says, "Yo, Mink, finally I can watch from Europe. Merry Christmas." See, bro, I'm not ignoring you. I only ignore Caleb. He says, "What do you think about 7.4 bone pressed directly by 5 for a guy who's 5'9"?" Um, so first of all, I think that the ideal size in general is somewhere around between 7 bone pressed by about 5 to 5.2. So I think that you are at a great size by any metric whatsoever. Um, and let's see, and you're not even saying you're 7. You are saying that you crap. Now I lost the text. 7.4, bro. And so that is that is a hog, and then to be at 5'9", which is right at the average height, with being 7.4. That is, an undeniably very long D, all Diddy, I guess, but yeah, that's good for you, man. Now 5, I do think 5 is just slightly above average, as far as girth, but I think that that's still a very good size, and average is not a bad thing, average is average for a reason, and so one guy suggested I don't use the term average and use the term normal. Uh, I don't know I don't know which has a more negative connotation. Actually, that's a great question for a poll. Um, which would you rather hear? You have an average D, you have a normal D. So let me know, guys, because actually one of the comments on one of my videos said that don't use average because it's basically offensive or it has negative connotations. And so yeah, let me know what you think. I think it's kind of I don't know, six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. But the point is, yeah, bro, that's a hog. So that's great for anybody. If you're 7'4", that maybe maybe not so much. But even if you were 6'2", I would still say that's a very good size. The key thing is though how much of it is showing. So what's your fat pad like? Because if you're 7.4, but you have a 2-inch fat pad and you're looking like you're only 5 inches, then that's still well within a normal range. But um, yeah, but it's not nearly going to look like 7.4. Uh, so yeah, man. uh, sorry, that was shh, that was a Mama Hink calling me. So I gotta let's see. 1 second, guys. So yeah, yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, man. So my guy Roof P says, "What do you think about the CalcSD Western data?" So for example, 5.5 girth is only about 90th percentile and global 97.3. Do you think it's weird there's this huge gap? So I actually made a video on that because Calc SD for a lot of people is the end all be all, but Calc SD is still has its flaws. Now, let me be extremely clear. I think Calc SD is an excellent resource in general. By the way, guys, we're at 95 likes and 100 people here. So 5 more people hit that like button and would get me over the top, if you know what I mean. Um, but the point is that when you actually look at the data, because CalcSD does an amazing job, they actually say, this is what we're saying. Here's the data that we compiled this from. But if you look at the data that they used some self-reported data, and that inherently makes it incorrect. And so I think that the Western data is greatly overestimated because literally the data that they compiled, I made a whole video about this, guys, is um the data that they used is not accurate data. Some of the data that they used only included stretch flaccid, some of it only included flaccid data. There's just now, once again, guys, and I've said this before, you're limited to the data that you have. Thank you for all you guys that hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Now, they used the best data that they could to compile that data, but I definitely think it's misleading. There's even an Italian study, I believe they included it on CalcSD, confer this with me, but they included a paper and it was like the average Italian D size was like 7 inches or something. Now, that was 100% self-reported data, and so it's not accurate. You can't assume that that's actually accurate. So, um, I absolutely think 5.5-inch girth, I would say that that is more 5.5-inch, meaning there's a 1 in 10 chance that somebody's bigger than you. Um, I don't know how I feel about that actually because 5.5 is big, but it's also not gigantic. There are a lot of adult stars that are about 5.5, maybe even I think maybe even Johnny Sins is more like 5.2, I forgot. 5.2 or 5.5. But the point is that that is big, but it's not gigantic, okay? And, if you guys watch my video on girth, like the definitive size girth, video, but I don't know, man. So yeah, so I don't know. Because globally, yeah, I mean, if you're including some of these Asian countries where they actually have Asian, Southeast Asian, India, etc., their global D size is, I mean, the average girth was, I don't even think it was 4.8. I mean, I think it was like 4.6 or something. And so you guys should watch that video on the definitive size for girth. I just released it maybe last week if you're looking for more detail. And so, yes, do I think Western data is absolutely bigger than global data? For sure. Do I think it's that much bigger? I, I mean, because you're not saying the average is 5.5. You're saying 5.5 is 90%. That doesn't sound that greatly incorrect if you're just looking at Western data, because being bigger than 90% of people is being very big. I mean, that's being very big. And 5.5, I do think is big, uh, but it's also not gigantic. So my guy Crimson Vet follow up says hymns, Rouge, Blue Chew are some examples I'm bombarded across social media. Yeah, they get paid to prescribe you medications, and so these, I don't know. I have a feeling they're probably arguing, not feeling like all the man you could be. Well, maybe it's because uh, your chemicals are in your brain are imbalanced. Try considering this antidepressant medication to balance you out and let you be the full man you want to be. And I think that that's horrible advice. I think that I'll tell you guys, I would love to be on an antidepressant right now. I would love to. I would freaking love to. But the point is that I know what my stress is and I know what my stressor is. And I need to be able to function as what I feel as a man to know what that stressor is and work my way past it. And I will be better for it in the end. And that's just for me personally, I think it's kind of a cop out if I'm super anxious about something and instead of actually changing my situation to fix the anxiety, I just block the anxiety. I just think that that's bullshit. For me personally, guys, do what you need to do to function, whatever your doctor recommends. I'm a clown in a mask, man. So, my guy Willie Wood says, "Hank, please read my super chat." Let's see. Willie Wood, did I miss your super chat, bro? I did, man. I'm so sorry. Thank you for reminding me, bro. I really apologize that. My guy Willie Wood says, "I never gained in 8 months. What must I do and pee? What must I do? Hand dot and pee." I'm not sure what that ending part means. But if you haven't gained in 8 months, I would really question what you are doing. So that is, I know this is a bad metaphor, but to me, that's like somebody coming up to me and saying, "Hey, I have a headache. What should I do?" And it's like, "Well, what causes the headache? What have you done recently?" And so, um, the I would want to know what you're doing, what you're doing for length work, what you're doing for girth work, what your pressure is. Are you using a pump with a gauge? If so, what pressure are you using? What are you using for your length work? How often are you doing it? Are you smoking while you're doing it? I mean, there's so many variables. I would also want to know, is your stretch flaccid length increasing as well? Because that is the most easy marker that you can have to know whether you're actually growing or not. So um, so yeah, so my guy Willie Wood. So I'm gonna need more details, homie, and maybe you can put it in the chat, and I'll try to look out for him. Because uh, yeah, so please give me some more information, man. I'll get back to it. And my guy, Enemies Nutrition Doc says SSRIs for increasing sexual stamina. So that is absolutely one of the indication. What do they call it? Duloxetine, I think, is the medicine that they regularly prescribe for premature ejaculation. If you haven't seen my video, check it out. But I mean, I wish Callie was here to put it right up on the screen. But I do have a video all about premature ejaculation, and I do talk you through some of the medications. But typically, guys, when we're talking about SSRIs for sexual stamina, like, we are literally talking about guys that have what we call a time to ejaculation period of about 10 seconds. I mean, they insert and basically bust right away, okay? And so a lot of guys are saying, "Oh, I'm premature," but they last maybe 3 minutes or 5 minutes. I'd have to look at the exact data, but once again, I don't think that that is technically that far from the, what you can see for normal timing. And so, while I'm waiting on Caleb to I mean, not Caleb, my guy to tell me what he was doing for the past 8 months, uh, I saw Caleb and he says, "Hink, I have quite a few Indian friends and a large amount of them are well endowed. I would wanna know how do you know, that they are or self-reported data because, once again, guys on average lie by about an inch, and so if they tell you they're 7, they're probably 6, okay? And so, and if you have seen them, do they just have larger flaccid? Or, I mean, have you seen them erect? And if you have, I would certainly have some questions. I'm not going to judge, do you? But guys lie, and so how do you know? Yeah. So how do you know? And that's actually there is a abundant data when it comes to actually Asian countries, Middle Eastern countries, and even Indian countries. Um, Indian countries. You all know what I mean, okay? But there is that on average their size is a bit smaller. So it doesn't mean there's not well hung dudes, but just on average, their average is smaller, and that's why the global data is smaller. Um, So my guy says hanging 4 kilograms. So don't you multiply 2.2 by kilograms in order to get pounds? And so isn't that like 8.8 pounds and pumping 8 to 10 inches of mercury 6 days a week? So thank you for the follow-up super chat, Willie Wood. So if you are so there's a couple things that you could try. Yeah, you might be so my guy Perv was on the live stream here and one of the things is, you might literally be doing too much, man, especially if you haven't seen any gains doing that in 8 months. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, bro, I would question your measurements. I would question how accurate you are to measure, um, because even just with that hanging alone, with that weight, you should gain something, even if it's a stretch flaccid. So I would wanna know, are you measuring your stretch flaccid length? Um the other thing is, let's see, pumping to 8 to 10, 6 days a week. And so, I mean, I do think that's a good range. I don't think you're necessarily overdoing it, but you might want to take, I get this question a lot. I'm not gaining. What should I do? And there's a couple of different things that you could do. Number one, you said hanging 4 kilograms. How long are you hanging for? If you're hanging for a longer period of time, maybe drop down to just 30 minutes. Just try hanging for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and see if that is enough. And you should be measuring your stretch flaccid to see if that's growing. For your pumping, how long are you pumping? Are you doing at least 15 minutes? And I would say 3 5 minute sets of pumping. I think that's what most of the data most of the data supports depending on what study you look at. So you can either try decreasing your routine, try less pressure or less time. You could also try what we call a decon break. Maybe your tissue just needs a rest. And from all the stimulation of the collagen, you just need a reset. I truly don't know how I feel about these decon breaks. I think there's a lot of bro science behind it. But what do I know? And so yeah, man, that's what I would try. Either taking some time off or greatly reducing, what you are doing. My guy Fernando, thank you, bro, for the super chat. He says, "The professional meat gazer is live. Doc, you're a great human being and have our full support, man. I really appreciate that." He says, "We appreciate you. I appreciate you too, bro, and especially comments like this. Thank you very much." He says, "Did you ever make a Matt Barr video?" I have not made it yet. Um I have not made it yet, but I promise you guys it's coming, and I'm hoping that by January I'll have it out. It's just it's h- there's my how my brain works, and there's a lot of different videos that I want to come out with, and so and it's also that video actually, believe it or not, takes a lot of research as well. Even finding video clips and different things like that. So Yes. Thank you for that. And so Caleb following up to knowing how big his Indian friends were, he says, I don't want to speak for them, but from what they told me and what I'm seeing from changing the locker room. So are they just showers? Because actually, if you watched my video that I made recently about basically who's bigger, is grower versus showers, believe it or not, growers on average have bigger penises than the showers. So just because you have a bigger flaccid doesn't mean you actually have a bigger penis. And so once again, my point is that if you've seen them in the locker room, I would hope they weren't hard. I'm not judging what you do in your locker room, but if you've just seen their flaccid size, you don't know. I mean, and there is this phenomenon. Now I'm blanking on it. Foreshortening. Foreshortening is what it's called. Where if you look down and see your penis, it looks smaller than if somebody else has the same size D and you look over at them because of that foreshortening phenomenon. And so I don't know, man. It's just you can't make those decisions. And so my guy Jess Cold, he says best way to recover from a shaft cut. I guess that's a razor. So thank you for the super chat, just cold. Just please don't do any kind of PE or in general that's going to irritate the area. You just need time to heal. If you want to, you could put something like a triple antibiotic cream on there a couple times a day, something like Neosporin, but it should heal on its own. Just try to avoid anything that's going to actually cause the scab or the wound to reopen. Man, just like that, we're at 51 minutes, man. Uh, okay, so my guy in the Miss Nutrition doc, I see what he's saying now. So he's saying these companies. So this is in reference to the guy that was asking me about, can I please make a video about all these additives? IND, Intimacy Nutrition Doc for short, is telling me that these companies are marketing these pills to promote like peak male stamina or whatever by including things like an SSRI. Now I get what he's saying. Okay, okay. Yeah, I think that's a horrible idea. Personally, I think that's a horrible idea for many different reasons. And most SSRIs, if not all of them, you can't just stop cold turkey. You have to gradually wean yourself off of them, or else you can have some major damages. So that is a very bad idea. Thank you, Intermittent Nutrition Doc. So guy, Willie Wood says, yes, hanging 30 minutes and pumping 20 minutes. And so the other thing that you could do, Willie would be to potentially drop the pressure that you're using and do it for longer. And so instead of doing 30 minutes hanging at 8 pounds, maybe try 60 minutes hanging at 6 pounds. Because I do think that there's data showing that that more is more when it comes to length work for the most part, unless you're suffering from erection quality. Uh, man, so guys, we are probably going to call it here. Um, let's see. Well, last question here: is there a difference average when it comes to race and area? I live in Detroit, and it seems like everybody's packing. So that's largely selection bias. I've made several videos about race and like this BBC myth that is actually very harmful because I'll tell you, there are so many guys that I see that are black guys that come to me for coaching and in confidence. Obviously, I'm not going to ever um, call any of them out by name if I even know their real names. But the point is, they say that basically their life has sucked because they're a 6'2" dark skinned black dude and they have a 5-inch penis, and it's very hard being them. And so what's more likely is that the dudes that you know that are packing are the ones that are gonna be more in your face about it. Just like on Tinder, I would say that the dudes that are out there slanging their meat and having one night stands are probably going to be the bigger guys at baseline. And so it's more so the phenomenon that if you are a bigger dude, you're gonna be more willing to show it off. Just like on subreddits like r/hink, the dudes that post pictures are typically the dudes that are started off bigger and have gotten even bigger. Whereas it's not as often that you see the guys that are, smaller, and even on my Hink trial, there were a few average to smaller guys on the Hink trial actually, but I would say in general, most of the guys were actually a bit on the bigger side. So, um, now when it comes to race, there is evidence that on in general, the average size when it comes to measuring, certain types of, either Black or African Americans, is actually slightly bigger, and so I think on the, you guys should watch the video I made, but it was maybe I think the average was maybe 5.3, 5.4 compared to, like, 5.2 for Caucasians or something. So the average wasn't that different, but what you do see is you have more outliers on either side, and so according to this one group of data sets that they had, which watch my video about it, guys, it's like race. Yeah, it's just type in "Hink and race" and it should come up. But so let's say at least in the Caucasian population they compared to, they had their standard deviation range was within here. And so you did have some smalls here and you had some bigs here. But what they see in the Black populations is that the average is the same, but actually the standard deviation is here. And so you have smaller smalls, but you also have bigger bigs. And so these bigger bigs are what you are more likely to see, even though the average is about the same. But in general, I will tell you when I cosplay in a hospital as Batman, and don't ask me how I see dudes' D's, but I've done a lot of physical exams, and it even though I know it to be the case, it still always blows my mind when I have to do an exam on a Black dude, and he's got a very average to even small sized, penis, at least flaccid penis. Just 'cause I'm like, I would expect this dude to have 14 inches, and I know better. I know better. Even now, I know better. So yeah, don't be fooled too much by the whole, racial thing, man. Uh My guy Ha3XD says, "Man, like Hink finally caught you live. I appreciate you, bro. Leave a like." Uh so yeah, thank you guys for being here. I'm definitely gonna call it. I'm super tired. But I appreciate you. I love you guys. Thank you for all the kind words, encouragement. Hopefully we have some big things coming in 2026. Stay tuned. I don't know when the next video is going out. Maybe today's what, Saturday? Depending on how I feel, maybe even live stream tomorrow. We'll have to see. All right, guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Just remember, guys, you're so much more than the size of your D. There's nothing wrong with self improvement, but you are enough just as you are. All right, guys. Peace and love.